The Ekati Diamond Mine has filed for creditor protection. The mine's operator, Arctic Canadian Diamond Company, a subsidiary of Burgundy Diamond Mines, detailed its status in a court filing in British Columbia last week. The request for protection follows $175 million in federally backed loans the company received this winter. At the time, Burgundy leadership said it was needed to keep operations going amidst tariffs and trade challenges. Paul Zimnisky is a diamond industry analyst and a frequent guest here on our show. We've reached him this morning by phone. Paul, good morning.
Hi, Shannon.
So should we be surprised that we've gotten to this point with Ekati?
So maybe a few things worth mentioning just to set the stage here. So there's been a severe downturn for the entire global diamond industry, which really began around the second half of 2022. We've talked about this on the show in the past as far as some of the reasons why. But it's the prolonged nature of this downturn in diamond prices that has made this especially painful this time. And then, when we look more operationally, kimberlite diamond mining, it's a very expensive, it's a very complex business, especially when the asset is older. And this is the case with all of the Canadian diamond mines right now. These are, assets that are towards the end of their life. And then on top of this, the Northwest Territory mines in particular tend to be very high grade, but they produce a lot of smaller diamonds. And this is the category that's been the most impacted by man-made or lab-grown diamonds, as consumers are opting for much larger, top-quality, machine-manufactured diamonds instead of, say, a smaller, lower-quality natural diamond. And I would just note, I'm an American and we don't have commercial diamond mines here, but in Canada, I really thought Canadian consumers would buy natural diamonds to support their fellow citizens up north, but in Canada, consumers are buying, these lab diamonds at just the highest rate as they are in the U.S. So the industry isn't really, getting help from its own population. But the point is, all of this adds up, and the encroachment of lab-grown diamonds, the challenges of operating in remote Canadian North, aging mines, and then there's the more macro factors that have further pressured the situation, like the disruption caused by our tariffs, the war in the Middle East, which has driven energy prices to painfully high levels. Combined, this makes for a very challenging operating environment for these diamond mining businesses, and that gets us to where we are today.
So it doesn't sound to me like you're very surprised.
No, I think anybody in the industry that's been watching this closely, this has been playing out for a while. I think there was hope there would be a recovery in diamond prices. We started to see signs of that over the last 2 years. Then we got hit with the tariffs. This year we got hit with the war, which is, impacting global economics. So it's been one thing after the next, and it's really compounded. And we're to the point now where, these businesses are really getting pressured.
How would you characterize the financial health of the mine at this point?
Well, I think they, have publicly stated in a declaration that they're currently insolvent. I think the company said they still consider it to be a viable business. So they're in a situation where they need, liquidity. They need a financial solution.
Looking back, what do you make of the decision to extend the federal loan to Burgundy?
I mean, I think they're in a situation where there's a lot of, people's livelihoods are at risk up north. And I think the Canadian federal government's looking for ways to try to help. Again, it's just you get to this point that, economic diamond deposits they're really rare and they're very complex and they're expensive to operate. And I think this news highlights that, natural diamonds can't be made to order in a machine in a few weeks in Asia, as is the case with lab diamonds. So the industry has to do a better job of explaining this to consumers, which have incessantly been told over and over the last 5 years that they're the exact same thing. So again, I guess you can kind of pick the story or pick the narrative, but the fundamental backdrop of the industry has been very, very difficult.
Surely the federal government would have seen this as a possibility. Do you think there's other strategy here beneath the surface?
Again, it's tough to say. I mean, there's a liquidity squeeze right now. The problem is, so for me as an analyst, I think a lot stands on who the new owner of De Beers will be. So Anglo American, the parent of De Beers, put the company up for sale a couple of years ago. So I think when we find out who the new owner is and how committed they are to driving longer-term growth and demand for natural diamonds, to me, that's a really important catalyst that we're waiting for. Hopefully that's imminent. I do think there'll be a renaissance in natural diamonds, especially as we veer into a more digital world. I think people will crave natural things like natural diamonds. And to an extent, I think the lab diamonds have a fad component to them. But at the end of the day, this is a timing thing, and the businesses we're talking about, they're struggling right now. So it's a precarious situation. You can't easily just shut these mines down for a few years and turn them back on when the market improves. That's kind of the problem here.
Given what you've just said about the potential in your mind of a resurgence of natural diamonds, and given the current market conditions, do you see a path where Ekati can recover from this fiscal situation and become profitable?
Again, it's a timing issue. That's what makes it so difficult. I would say yes, in the medium term. In the short term, it's a lot more difficult to come to that sort of conclusion. At the end of the day, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now if the diamond market wasn't as in a challenge of a state as it is right now. So at the end of the day, so much of this just depends on where our diamond price is going to be 6 months from now, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and that's a variable nobody really knows the answer to because there's so many different moving parts. But as far as a mine like this, again, you can't just suspend it and then turn it back on when conditions improve. It's too difficult to do that. Say in the oil and gas industry, you can shut in a well. It's more feasible. Some mining operations, you could do that, but these are just such complex operations with so many people employed. You can't really do that. So I think that's why I think the government provided the lifeline, hoping that giving a few more months would provide the time necessary for a recovery to take place. But we haven't seen that yet.
What are you going to be watching for next when it comes to Ekati?
I guess I only have access to the information that's publicly available. So again, I think we're looking for some sort of liquidity solution or just some ultimate decision. A decision is going to have to be made eventually, and I guess we're just it's going to come down to management and the stakeholders and any potential financing partners.
Yesterday, we also learned about some changes at the Gahcho Diamond Mine. Mountain Province Diamonds, partial owner in that mine, says it has extended some loan deadlines and is selling a portion of its future diamond sales at a discount. Can you help me understand the significance of these decisions for Gahcho?
Yeah, I think, again, it's all related. Again, I think the linchpin here is the diamond market. And I think, again, getting back to the public declaration that Burgundy made, I think they said they were, selling their diamonds at the end of 2024 for $92 a carat, and then by the end of last year, by the end of 2025, they were only getting $24 a carat. So I mean, that's the kind of magnitude of pressure we've seen on diamond prices, and again, it's just being felt across operations globally, and it's certainly no different with the NWT mines.
All right, Paul, we're going to have to leave it there, but I appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Shannon.
Paul Zimnisky is a diamond industry analyst.